We live in times of crisis multiplied, where we are witnessing multiple genocides, ecocides, and domicides taking place. And at this moment in time, how can we talk about anything else? This is how this collaboration and initiative came to life. I always call this it's a non-exhibition taking place in a non-exhibition space. It's a collective attempt that manifested between Alserkal Initiatives, being the main commissioner and co-creator of this exhibition and program, in partnership with Cité, internationale arts.
So the exhibition is a time and a space of 5 days that tries to bring together practices, practitioners, artists, collectives who are considering solidarity as something that is a sustained practice that tries to mobilize, organize, sustain different moments of injustices that are happening to different communities in the world.
In my work, I think about solidarity in a way where it's more about taking time, trying to find a space where you can think and de-accelerate this insanity and just have a breath, and then you can think about what you can do.
It's absolutely wonderful to be at the meeting point where all these artists that are gathered here are in dialogue and also set up a dialogue with the visitors and the audiences who come only for the preview of the Biennale.
Global art audiences are engaging with the show and with this collective attempt, considering how much else they have to see and consume. And witnessing that we are able to fill this void, to hold this very important conversation at this very historic moment in time.
Artists that come from Myanmar, from Gaza, from Sudan, from Iran, through their practice they want to leave traces of human touch in those most atrocious moments where they feel they don't have any support or don't know how long they might stay alive. So what do you produce in such moments? How do you share this with the others? How do you mobilize feelings, affects, solidarity, support?
The piece was done in the context of what happened, the recent events in Iran, since the uprising revolution after the death of Mahsa Jina Amini. After many demonstrations by thousands and thousands of brave Iranian youth, mainly women and young girls, demonstrated in the streets of Iran for their right, their basic human rights as a human being.
We're telling everyone to take a seat and to relax a bit because this is not a performance.
We are here essentially to provide a sort of charging station where we read testimonials from all of these different voices, from poets, from journalists. We share testimony where we are all witnesses and survivors, essentially. And we are here to make sure that we stay grounded in our connection to the fact that there is a great deal that we must resist.
It's a non-performative space where we give a tremendous amount of attention to our knowledge and strategies of resistance.
My work is about the civil and social change in Sudan. There is not just the image of destruction, the image of war, the image of violence, but I'm also trying to show that there is rich and ancient answers and ancient histories in Sudan that are so vivid. It shows that there is lots of depth of joy and reclaiming of power and lots of answering back to the things that we have been subjected to. That did not stop us from being alive and always rising and always looking forward.
The beginning was asking friends and people I know to draw me a map, basic map from memory of a house or wherever they feel safe. At the time I thought, okay, so there is no such thing as a safe space. It's a very elusive idea. So I stopped asking for maps and I started doing my own maps from memory. The work I present in the show is called Liquid Monuments. It's a wall drawing on the blue indigo. I try to develop some connection in between African living in Europe and trying to get in Europe and the history of the Caribbean people. I'm indeed very engaged in question of solidarity even out of the art world, because I'm an activist first and try to tell a story about solidarity in between Caribbean people in society and African people living in Europe. And so I try to develop a series of connection and movement back and forth from Africa to the Caribbean, from Caribbean to Europe. And the idea was to try to create a form of monument to invisible people and invisible lives.
The whole idea of the exhibition is to set up voices or artworks that you can look at and that will probably open up our eyes to complicated, complex worlds, but also maybe worlds with a promise of reconciliation.
I feel very strongly that silence is not an option. As artists, we have a voice.